welcome to Power Hour. We have two guests for the price of one.
Yeah,
So
I'm wide enough to be two anyway.
yeah, I'm deciding to go with Steph Samson.
Yeah, that works.
There we go. So you have a plethora of names as well, which I did know of some from just being on social media since I started following your bands.
Yeah, I have too many identities. I can hardly
And
keep track myself.
and there's the reason that we reached out to you in the first place from this podcast was because of the connection to Mikefest. You're on the lineup twice.
Yep. Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
gonna
two
play.
different bands. Two different bands.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing guitar with Denacious T, and a bit of vocals in that, and guitar and vocals for the Meat Sweats as well.
And is there other bands as well that you're in?
There's a thrash metal band we've been starting up, still unnamed. Brain Fog and Chaotic Christ still technically exist, even though we haven't been active in quite a while. Uh, yeah, that's it at the moment.
So when did you start yourself then? Like, has this been something that has been a newer thing for you and you're just experiment with a lot of different projects, or have you been at her for a while?
Would have started 8 years ago with the Meat Sweats.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015. That's when we got together, and I've been hopping around since then. And at one point, it was 5 projects. It might still be 5 projects. It is still 5 projects. I tend to lose one and gain one. Uh, yeah, no, just trying to hop around, playing a bunch of music.
And so the Meat Sweats, let's talk about them for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a meat themed punk band.
It's, we call ourselves thrash metal, but we jump
Sure.
around a lot.
Yeah.
So like just noise, meat theme noise. Uh, Mostly it's a stand-up comedy routine, vaguely disguised as a musical act.
And are they do you have a mixture do you cover stuff and change stuff up, or is it mostly original material that is
We've attempted to cover songs ever since we formed as a band, and almost every single time we butcher the cover
Oh,
live, like absolutely demolish it, barely recognizable. So we swore it off for a couple of years, and we're currently working on an EP where we're going to attempt to record a cover, and hopefully we don't absolutely butcher it.
well, butchering it still has the meat tie-in, so I suppose as long as you give
Exactly.
credit to the fact that you intentionally butchered it, it still
There's an
works.
infamous show we played at Gus's where we tried to cover "Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill"
Yeah.
by the Misfits, and I I just I think I called it like "Mommy, Can I Go Eat Meat." I tried to make up the lyrics on the fly. Oh, it was it was a train wreck. It was, but we have a rule where we don't stop playing, never stop,
Oh, there you
no
go.
matter what. So like we just train wrecked for about a minute and a half.
So that's going to be worse for you than the audience, because at least the audience has the spectacle. You have to push through the rest of that.
Oh yeah. I mean in the end it's hilarious, but I think that was that could have been the worst attempt at a cover. Glenn Danzig still calls me occasionally attempting to sue
Awesome.
for ruining his name.
So who else rounds out the rest of that band?
Steve McLean plays guitar and does some backup vocals. Right now we have Paul McKay on drums and Josh Josh Brake. Can't believe I forgot his name. Oh, that's brutal. He's gonna make fun of me for that for sure. Josh Brake's the newest member. He joined as the drummer, and then through a series of events, worked his way over to bass, and we took our bass player and put him on drums. And that's the mess. That's the current Meat Sweats lineup.
Do you ever do any switch up of instruments during your live show then, since you have some
No,
multi-talented? No, that's it's
it would be
something to keep
fun.
in mind. Maybe that's
We,
the key to nailing the cover. You need
yeah,
to switch
maybe
instruments and then do a cover.
I'll have to give that a shot. We've been joking about like playing a set where we're all on the wrong instruments
Yeah,
for years, but none of us is dedicated to practicing each other's instruments long enough to do it.
fair enough.
So that may never happen, but it'd be
Where
funny.
where did the idea of doing a meat themed band come from then?
I answered a Kijiji ad in Sydney, and then that was with Paul and Steve.
Hmm.
Um, and they kind of just said like, you're gonna have to write the lyrics if you're doing the vocals, and we're gonna kind of step back from it. So I immediately went with comedy music, and I brought up a comedy band idea I had of calling it Me Coma, where the
Okay.
first album would be me covered in McDouble wrappers. Um, and then that's Steve chimed in afterwards and said, we have to pick something a little more relatable. Let's go with the Meat Sweats. And I was immediately on board. That's the perfect name. And then since we were called the Meat Sweats, we had to start throwing in the meat jokes. That's when he came up with the idea of throwing pepperoni at the audience and stuff like that.
Is that something that you do at every show?
Every show.
So what
You're
else
gonna
can
you're
people expect when a lot of the fans of this show or people that are watching at least this episode are probably people that we're going to see at Mikefest. Like, what should people expect?
uh a lot of sour notes, pepperoni, no honey garlic. Uh at least one of my nipples will be showing throughout the whole set, possibly two. Find out when you get there. Uh and I'm not tethered by cable, so I'll be in the audience as well, causing a ruckus.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so your other project that's also on the bill, Denacious T.
Yeah.
So that's a tribute to Tenacious D, which is kind of the obvious assumption there. But
Yeah.
what else can you tell me about that act? And is it a duo? Do you have a full band with you for that?
So it's a full band. I'm not really the front person of that band.
Hmm.
That would be Ross Rankin. He's our Jack Black.
Okay.
We had a Kyle Gass, but he we disowned him and he moved to Ontario. Um, so we've been running as a four piece ever since, which is Ross singing acoustic guitar, Matt McLean on bass, Gerald Smith on drums, and then me on electric guitar. And we just share the vocal duties between the three of us. And the drummer occasionally says that was electric dynamite, which could be considered vocals as well.
I like
Uh,
that.
yeah, and we just do a set that we like, which is mostly the hits with a couple of Tenacious D deep cuts sprinkled in there. A lot like the Meat Sweats too. Like we kind of fall back into the stand-up comedy banter routines. I like to think we're pretty funny, but I guess we'll let Music Mountain decide that for us. And oh yeah, we have originals now. We wrote
Oh,
like
cool.
two or three originals in the vein of Tenacious D.
Hmm.
So we'll be playing those as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So is there other performances in between now and then or in foreseeable future after the Labor Day weekend that people can keep an eye out on these bands?
Yeah, we're playing that Glitzy Gutter Fest in Windsor with Denacious T.
Awesome.
This is
That's a
the
good lineup
only
there.
other. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's a good lineup there. I keep hearing that from guests of the show.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be another gooder. And Meat Sweats, we're not doing anything else at the moment. Yeah,
And is there anywhere online that people can follow these bands or listen to some of the music?
yeah, absolutely. Meat Sweats is full. Every streaming platform, Bandcamp, YouTube. I post memes almost daily on Instagram and Facebook. If you're into that sort of thing. Denacious T, we have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We got lots of our live shows on YouTube. So if you're looking to see what we're all about, we're there.
Cool. Awesome place
Yeah.
to check out. That's a lot of our viewers are watching this on YouTube, so it's a easy place to send people on one of these shows for sure.
Yeah, you just got to type something in that search bar. Hopefully find us. Maybe you'll find something more exciting.
Yeah. Now, do any of you in these bands with the comedy part built into the show, do any of you do any stand-up comedy or anything like that outside of the music projects?
Oddly, no.
Oh,
I've been
really?
considering it for years. Uh, but I have such a hard time with pre-written material. I
Sure.
improvise almost everything I say.
Yeah.
So the idea of like writing a joke and then not being self-conscious enough about that joke to go out in front of people and attempt to tell them the joke. If it didn't land, I don't know what I'd do.
Sure. I
Probably fall
suppose
back on the meat sweats.
the spontaneity of doing it on stage with the musical performance, I guess you always have the songs to fall back in. Like if it just falls dead, you just start playing the next song
Oh,
and move
yeah, that's
on.
it. If I make up a quip on the fly and nobody actually liked it, which has happened a fair amount, you just kick into the next song. With the meat sweats, most of the song titles are jokes in themselves, so pretty easy to get the laugh when you
And
say, "Up next, we're playing masturbating T-Rex." You know,
yeah, it's either people find that funny or they don't, I suppose.
yeah, they
And
usually leave the ones who don't find it funny.
that's why these are good so that people have a little bit of an idea what they're getting before they go to the show. So you should have a good full crowd of people that know exactly what they're there for, what they signed up for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I run around with the wireless unit to chase off the people who can't handle all that beef.
And now you mentioned YouTube content. So is it mostly live performances that you have on there, or do you have music videos that you've worked on with either of those projects?
So for Denacious, it's all live videos.
Hmm.
Couple of promos we've done for shows. And then with the meat sweats, it's some live videos. Most of them are older. We do have our last Gusta show on there for November, and our music video that we did in 2018, and a couple of skits kind of sprinkled in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you guys are based in the HRM area of Nova Scotia?
Denacious T is, but the meat sweats is actually based out of Sydney.
Okay.
I'm the only member who lives in Halifax. I drive back and forth to jam about once a month.
Oh, there you go. You're not the only person that we've had on here that does the commute for music. It's
Yeah.
it's not that a bunch of you should get together and figure out some kind of commute schedule so that you can all just cut down on the gas, save a few bucks.
Yeah. I've been thinking of starting a courier service
Yeah.
to Cape Breton and try to recoup some of the cost.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably potential there because I would say probably every like third or fourth episode I'm talking to a musician that is going back and forth on somewhat regular basis. Sounds
Oh yeah.
sounds
Oh yeah.
pricey to me at this point.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah, I can
It's
only
brutal.
imagine.
I drive
So,
a minivan too, so it's
oh
not even like
really?
I can escape it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so do you have time for other projects right now then? Because you mentioned that were in other projects. So do you have time for them at the moment?
The best way I can put it is you're always getting something done if you're constantly behind.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's how I've been running my life for about 5 years now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, because I do a lot of stuff outside music as well,
Yeah,
and it's just trying to get a small task done every day,
yeah,
trying not
yeah.
to let the pile grow too big.
And did you just, I know a few people that I reached out to lately, like with summer schedules and life, things have been hard to kind of nail someone down. But were you just traveling a little bit too?
Yeah, so I went to me and my girlfriend went from here to Montreal, then to Vancouver and Victoria in a 11-day stretch.
Wow,
Yeah, it
that's
was
pretty
awesome.
impressive. Did you work in any of your own performances or catch any shows along the way, or was it purely?
Yes. So I wasn't able to play, unfortunately. I haven't toured since 2019,
Okay,
which hopefully that'll happen next summer. Is the plan. We stopped in Montreal to catch Ear Slaughter, which is a grindcore festival, and that was amazing. Uh, 9 bands, 6 hours.
wow,
Yeah, compact one. And then we flew over to Vancouver, and in Vancouver I caught a show um, with a band called the Goalers.
yes, I'm aware of them from
Yeah,
another podcast.
so that's the first band the Meat Sweats ever opened for.
Okay,
Yeah, and I got to catch his show, and I gave him a Meat Sweats tank top, and he wore it on stage, and it was this big, excellent moment.
awesome.
That was super fun. And then yeah, just kind of hung out in Vancouver for another day, and then 5 days in Victoria, and that was kind of just I grabbed a board and skated and chilled, and It's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So hopefully if you're able to do a little bit of touring next year and you're catching some people nationwide, maybe you put those two things together like peanut butter and chocolate and bring some bands down here from the other regions.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I used to book shows. I had to get out of it because just so much
Yeah.
work to do it right. Bring bands down, make sure that the audiences are enough for them to get paid and stuff. I actually that's how me and Mike met. Uh,
Okay.
I booked Green Jello, and then he booked the show for Glasgow.
Oh, that's the connection then.
Yeah,
So what were you doing leading up to that? Because the Green Jello show, like it was a big deal for Mike to line up with his birthday and really kind of spearheaded him doing a bigger show every year since. But
yeah.
what were you doing at the point that you were able to snag them for a little East Coast tour yourself? Because that's a band that a lot of people are aware of. And it was kind of surprised that they were already going to be doing an East Coast tour.
Yeah, so I mean, Bill runs on a really funky schedule these days. It's like you book him and
Hmm.
then the rest gets sorted afterwards. I had seen them play Gemseg in New Brunswick in 2018,
Okay.
and I kind of got chatting with him a little bit after the show, and I looked into it a bit. I was thinking about stepping up from doing local shows and trying to go bigger with the Green Jello show, and so I just went ahead and gave it a shot. Booked him for Sydney and Halifax Friday, Saturday, and then after that booking happened, they other promoters got in contact with them, and that's how the rest of the shows happened.
Cool, cool. So what kind of bands were you booking? I would assume you were booking stuff in the Halifax area when you were.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was mostly like I would book my band and
Hmm.
then fill the rest,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So that was what my that was the extent of it until I got a little bit of a reputation for it, and sometimes bands would ask me to host a show, then I'd throw my band on it and another band and whatever. Not too many though. Green Jello was a pretty big step from what I
Yeah.
was doing, and it went. It
Yeah.
went. Not enough for me to continue doing it, but it went.
Sure. Like you
Learned a
said, there's a
lot.
lot of there's a learning curve with all of this music industry stuff that
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
always learn something, but it's not always a financial reward. You got to really be in it for
Right.
knowledge and passion for the music itself.
Yeah, and I made mistakes and I did some stuff right, did some stuff wrong. Definitely learned a ton, on
Hmm.
how to promote and who to call and what to book, and it just mostly figured out wasn't for me. Got out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
Fair enough.
I'm glad the shows went off. I'm glad the people who saw them, and everyone seemed to have a great time. But I want to. The way I like to put it is, I don't want to be the asshole booking the shows. I want to be the asshole on stage.
Fair enough.
That's it. Like I just didn't want to have to worry about all the background stuff, so I stopped doing it.
And so was that just a detachment from any of background stuff aside from those specific
I
projects that you're on?
I get asked to do it a lot. I get
Yeah.
asked to run shows, and I kind of just fall into it. Like if I'm playing, and so they need help making a poster or
Sure.
finding other bands or whatever, I'll step up and do whatever needs to be done. But I don't take the first step anymore. I guess is probably the best way to put it. Like don't really book bars and or book legions and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So going into the fall, will there be like most bands last year, and not every band, but most bands that were actively on the go through last summer hit the fall probably all hitting the studio. They were all recording new singles or new albums and
Hmm.
getting them all ready through the winter and then releasing them in the spring. So now that we're a year later and everybody's out there performing right now, I'm curious. I'll probably start asking this on every episode, but going into the fall, is there plans to record stuff or are you planning on just hitting the stages as much as possible?
Um, I mean, no exact plan.
Hmm.
If we get gig offers, we usually take them. Um, we do have like we're currently working on a split or a EP for the Meat Sweats. Kind of to test out our recording equipment to see if we're going to like the way we are doing it,
Sure.
because we have a whole because we were without a drummer for 2+ years. We'd pick a guy up for a couple months and he'd leave, and so on and so forth for a while. So we're sitting on a whole album and an EP to record. So it's not so much in the fall as much as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And Denacious T is recording. Our drummer Gerald has a couple of projects lined up first, or well, one major project, and once he's done with that, then we'll be able to record that. So that's
Cool.
probably going to land in the fall too. So I guess yeah, I am recording in the fall. Not that I
Awesome.
intended it to be that way, but
Well, now that I kind of started this as a trending question on my series, then I guess you started the trend.
oh,
So I'm going to give you full credit for it, that everyone's
I'll take full
mimicking
credit.
you as they start
It
saying they're
was
doing the same thing.
it was my idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it fits our climate in this area of the country, that we all get out and enjoy shows in the summer and the nice sunny weather, and then when it starts to get a little darker and colder out there, then a lot of people want to sit down and record something so they can stay in and keep warm.
Yeah, I can't say I've noticed a difference in attendance through the summer
Yeah.
and winter. It like since COVID, the attendance has been great. Most shows are 50 people plus.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, with almost everything I booked, which back before, like 2019, 2018, playing shows to 3 people, four
Yeah.
people, it happened a whole bunch.
People
So
were in their head a lot more about just everything else, I
yeah,
guess. Like, regardless of your experience, if you're still around on this end of it, I think people's priorities shifted, and maybe having a little bit of fun's a little bit higher priority than it used to be.
yeah, and absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of what I assumed was you took the toy away, and then when you gave it back, you really want to use the toy. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's for
people are
sure.
coming out to shows,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
good. It's awesome playing to full bars almost
Yeah.
every time you play. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's great. And especially like if you say yourself, if you've been around on either end of it to see that change,
Yeah.
it's a very positive experience for sure.
Mhm.
So end of the summer, anyone that wants to catch either of those bands is in luck. $60 for a weekend ticket at Mikefest, and that includes camping for the night, I believe, too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, people, what you're playing early with one band, or and then later with the other band, or are you playing close
I
together?
believe it, I mean, if the poster has anything to do with it, so I'm not sure that the exact set times have been released yet.
Yeah.
Denacious T is probably early because it's
Hmm.
smaller on the poster and closer to the bottom,
Hmm.
and the Meat Threats is probably later because it's in bigger font and closer to the top.
There you go. I love
That's
it.
that's going to be my logic on it until Mike tells me
Context
otherwise.
clues for everyone.
Yeah.
I I believe you're pretty accurate too. So we'll look forward to catching those performances at the end of the summer. And I'll put some links down below for anyone that wants to check out those bands online.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for
All
having me
right.
on the show. This was
Thank
great.
you. And
Yeah.
when you're ready with new releases, be sure to reach out and let us know, and we'll either have you back on or squeeze you in as a promo on one of these episodes.
That's great. I need negative reviews for the next Meat Sweats release, as
Oh,
many as I can get.
if you need a few negative reviews, I know a few people I could send stuff to. So
Oh, excellent.
I'll
Perfect.
start collecting names as these episodes keep getting released.
Oh, great.
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll
find
have a
the
master list
most
for you.
hard ass critics you can get.
Yeah,
We're gonna disappoint them.
yeah, absolutely. It sounds awesome. All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Have a good one.